If that isn't Steinman, I don't know what is at the end of that. That's got all the Jim Steinman moments.
That's right.
Who's the chorus there on the end of that?
Oh, that's us. That's
just the gang.
Yep. Yeah, we always had good singers in the band. I think that's Doug Lubon, who was the only bass player the Doors ever had. He's playing bass on that record.
Yeah.
Alan St. John, keyboards. We always had the backgrounds together, and it had lots of fun. You always do background vocals as like the last thing, which is great because then the pressure is off. By the time you get to background vocals, you know if you've got it, and most of the time we get there, we figured we had it. So then you can really kind of let loose and just be, try anything and have a good time, and that's one of the results of it.
The song is called Sweet Release from 1984. The album Signs of Life from Billy Squier, who's been my guest here in the studio as we continue to journey through his career. As I said last time Billy was here and we covered the real early part of his career, for me, doing a radio show like this on satellite radio, these are the moments that I enjoy the most, to be able to take this much time to get as in-depth and go through an artist's history like we've been doing now in the second time here with Billy. And a quick note here as we move forward, just so we talked earlier when you were here last time about your music and how it has infiltrated the rap and hip hop world, some of the sounds and the drum beats and Jay-Z and people like that using your stuff. But obviously the rock world today, you have so many enormous fans of, and other musicians that are out there have very much looked at what you've done throughout the 80s as somewhat of a blueprint and had an influence. And one of those bands who, the song is playing, I get a text from my buddy Keith Nelson, who is the guitar player and one of the founding members of Buck Cherry, and he simply sends me a text, as I'm sure he's listening, saying Billy Squier fucking rules. So that's got to feel good when you hear artists like that who are such fans of what you've done as well.
Yeah, you can color me humbled.
And I guess you reminded me.
There's nothing like getting respect from your peers. That to me it really means a lot.
And, of course, for people who haven't seen Buck Cherry, they do the stroke in the middle of their big hit, Crazy Bitch. They do a breakdown of the stroke in there as well. So you never know where a Billy Squier song is going to pop up these days, And that's a sign of how great the material certainly was and still is. It's EddieTrunk. Again, we're continuing with Billy, and we move forward now to an album. Again, for me to say I like a lot is redundant because in my book, you've never made a bad record. But this album, I think, has got some really cool stuff on it. Now, on Signs of Life, I didn't mention this, your ties to the band Queen continued because you had Brian May play on that record, played a guitar solo.
Yeah, Brian plays in 1984.
And we touched on this last time you were here, but the album that you did in 1986, Enough is Enough, again, new producer, Peter Collins, who's known for working with all sorts of artists, major producer, and the album is called Enough is Enough. And at this point, is this the first time that you feel the backlash from the Rock Me Tonight video and incident? Is this the first time it kind of hits you?
Yeah, things were really started going downhill at this point. The record company was concerned. Everyone around me was concerned that, I don't know if anybody really wanted to acknowledge that it was the video. People started saying that I just didn't make a good record, which I didn't agree with. And then I started hearing these things that I wasn't current, that music was changing, and again, a lot of this is MTV. Music is changing, and I am not, I'm not current, and it shows because my last record didn't do as well. And that's how I ended up with Peter Collins, because I had several people in the industry, who at the time I respected, who thought that this guy would be great. And, with all respect to Peter Collins, he was very talented and good at what he does. It's like chalk and cheese. The way he makes records, the way I make records is, he is just wasn't a good fit. I don't want to turn this into attacking someone who can't defend himself. And it wasn't like that. He was very conscientious, and he put a lot into the project, but
creatively it wasn't happening.
He doesn't know. He could listen to rock music and like it, but he didn't know how to make rock music and record it. And he was very, very sterile and precise and fine-tuned and picked everything and sterilized everything. And I feel like, I think that he really kind of drained the soul out of the band. It strikes me as being a very very technical record.
Well, he had worked with Rush, he had worked with Queensryche, he had worked with bands that were very musician-y, very technically proficient.
Extremely calculated.
Yeah.
Extremely calculated and precise, and no room for anything that wouldn't be perfect.
Right.
You know, and I could go into many stories to outlining it, but it just, as I said, you know, we both worked very hard on it, and I think that, you know, that when we actually spent a lot of time on the songwriting, although I wrote the songs, but it was the first time I ever really did a serious pre-production for songwriting, where I spent about 2 weeks in England with Peter in the studio every year, just him and me playing the songs and him going, let's try something else. And just kind of, you know, developing the songs in that way. But I think the main problem was the translation of it. I think that the material could hold up, but I've always found it hard to get close to that record. It just doesn't feel like it has a spirit somehow.
Do you have a favorite song on it? Because if we're going to keep chronologically going, we should play something.
Oh no, I don't mean you should bury the record. I've had a lot of people who really like it.
You want my favorites?
Yeah.
Well, Love is a Hero we played last time is just, I think, phenomenal.
That's one of the things that got me through the record. I mean, working with, you know, having the chance to have Freddie in and do something like that makes it worthwhile, you know.
And Freddie would co-write a song on here with you, too.
Oh, yeah.
With the tenor sax.
Yeah.
But Love is the Hero, again, one of my all-time favorite Billy Squier songs. The other things I love on here is Till It's Over. I absolutely love that. I think is a phenomenal song. Break the Silence, I love. All We Have to Give, I love.
That was one of the songs I actually wrote on keyboards, believe it or not.
Should we play? And again, I love that version of Love is the Hero, the extended one with Freddie on that intro, just singing his heart out that we played last time.
Magic moment, yeah.
It is. So maybe we should, for folks that weren't listening last time, it's not like we've played it all that much. You want to do that?
Well, you know, anytime you have the chance to have Freddie Mercury on a record, you should take it.
And you don't. One thing I always wanted to ask you about the Enough Is Enough record that I'll ask you, and then we'll play the song. Is when I got this record, the back photo, the back cover, the back of the album is you on an amp, a road case with a guitar, just kind of noodling away there. But I always thought it was interesting that next to the case is a little can of Coca-Cola. Product placement early on.
They never paid me to do it. I like Coke, and it was there, and I hope that they might pick up on it later, but that was just something that was part of my life, and
so it was
generally still is.
So it was put there with the hopes that it's Billy Squier, maybe we make a deal with him and do something, or it was just not that calculated.
Oh no, it wasn't calculated. I mean, it was. I mean, I knew it was there, but I was drinking it,
right.
And I was fine to have it there because, you know, I happily endorse products that I use,
right,
whether they pay me or not. And I've been a big Coke drinker throughout my life.
I figured the photographer would have said, well, we got to airbrush out the Coke can, but you figure what the heck even in there.
Why?
I remember getting the record. I was like, oh, Billy must be getting paid money to keep that Coke can in the
shot
on the back of his record.
No such luck.
All right, well, this is from the Enough Is Enough album, and again, it's Freddie Mercury. Again, if you have heard this song before, you may not have heard this version, because this particular version did not show up until a number of years later on an anthology called Reach for the Sky. This is the alternate version with Freddie singing brilliantly on his own at the top of this, which for some crazy reason was cut off of the version on the album.
Because my record company who felt that to have Freddie on my record would be confusing to my fans.
If you could have the visual of Billy's eyes rolling right there, you would have loved it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you would kill to have Freddie Mercury on a record, you know, and what it would have done for me internationally. I mean, think about it, you know. And we were both. Freddie was on EMI at the time, you know. I mean, they had the whole thing, and they said they actually put their foot down, and said no, it's not going to put it on the record.
Well, let's listen to what I love, I think is a great song, Love is the Hero, Enough is Enough, where things started to, unfortunately, go down the other side of the mountain here with Billy Squier. But again, some great material.